I started life with the Controller and Auditor General in the government auditors, auditing semi-state bodies like IDA, Corstock, All Aboard, Fáilte Central Bank, and Shannon Airport and so on. Spent 6 or 7 years there, and then went into private enterprise with Ericsson's in Athlone and lived there for 12 or 13 years. And left them to join Gilby's group as Group Finance Director, spent about 7 years there. Then I went to Aer Lingus' Group Chief Executive and spent 5 years there, and then I went to Smurfit Group as Chief Financial Officer, Chief Operating Officer and CEO latterly. And then I retired at the ripe old age of 65 in September 2015. I think the most important learnings for me were finding good people to identify with and hook up with, and basically listen to them and learn from them. And I think the other thing that I discovered from these people and in my own experience was what I call the power of team, as distinct from the individual success stories and the leaders with personalities. I just think the great companies have great strength and depth, great people on the teams, and leaders. I describe a great leader, to my mind, a great leader is a guy who's like the orchestra leader. They know how to play a lot of the instruments. They don't actually play them, but they, with very little movement of the hands, they get harmony, they get beautiful music, and they get cohesion. That to me is a great leader. Leaders who are of the mindset, and particularly smaller businesses, family businesses, you get an awful lot of them, and I have friends running very successful businesses in their own right. And they got to where they are by virtue of, you want it done right, do it yourself. You're only going to get so far. You become the bottleneck. You have only got 2 arms, 2 legs. You've only got 7 days a week in most cases in these businesses. So if you're going to grow your business, you have discovered, as the great Ivor Kenny, God rest him, used to say, I see the enemy and it is me. And I think the real message here is to get the scaling capability for any business, you need strength and depth. I think the enormous value that mentors have is that no matter who the leader is, they need somebody to sound off. Most people think that the great leaders are very self-confident, self-assured, never have doubts, never have insecurities. I think, in my experience, nothing could be further from the truth. But what they can't do is wear it on their sleeve. Nobody follows a doubtful, questioning or pessimistic leader. So where do they go to, or how do they talk to when they need to sound theories, get advice, worry through problems, get challenged and counseled on weaknesses in their DNA, and just talk through the issues that are either opportunities in their business or threats in their business. By virtue of that engagement, I think great leaders have greater confidence, because quite often the great mentors get the leaders talking to themselves. They just have a dialogue through the mentor with themselves. Mentors really, unless they're all singing and all dancing, they're not going to know everybody's business and every aspect of people's business. But what they do know is people, and they do know how to unlock in the recesses of people's minds the skill sets and the knowledge that they have. And they're also able to call out where they have deficiencies, and there are going to be deficiencies, and there's no two ways about it, so they need to be compensated. Mentors and sponsors, I can't emphasize it enough. Everybody needs somebody to challenge their thinking and their advice. When you become the boss, people, it's fine to be engaged and open and saying, I haven't a clue what we should do next. It's not a great way to lead an organization, but you need to be able to do it with somebody. And you need to be able to think it through and know that you're going to not hear what you want to hear and not hear what is popular or what's going to make people feel better about you, but really hear what you need to hear. The concept of independent chairman or independent directors is quite often confused with good governance. And it is that, it does deliver that. But in businesses, irrespective of whether they're public companies, private companies or family companies, I think having somebody whom trust is critical and integrity and experience, but with objectivity that doesn't sweat the small stuff, that sees the wood for the trees, and whose role it is to facilitate the success of the business through the people who are running it, rather than to do the success of the business and the running of the business. And to my mind, they really, really have the value when they basically hold the people they're working with to account, but in a facilitative and supportive way. Above all, business is what most of you spend your lives at. Business is what we most spend our waking hours at. It's got to be fun along the way. And as I say, if it isn't criminal and it isn't terminal, it isn't a problem.